Hello YouTube, I'm back with another video games collection. What I'm going to do today is Nintendo and Super Nintendo, and with some of my last videos I said a lot of my games were sold for beer, so I'm pretty short on stuff like this. Anticipation for Nintendo. Not too bad a game. It's actually a board game. Probably the first ever board game on a console. An old arcade favorite, Bad Dudes. Another favorite, Batman. Harder than shit to play Batman. If you beat this game, you're lucky. Remember how hard Nintendo games were. Except for Super Mario 2, that was pretty easy to beat. Blaster Master. Gets a little confusing, it's not exactly an easy game to play. Of course, another one we all know, Bubble Bobble. That one's a pretty cool game. The original Final Fantasy. Actually the second game I ever got for the Nintendo. My brother bought it because, I don't know, he didn't think too much when he bought it. But the original copy got sold and I bought that copy off of eBay. Here's another one, Galaga. My mom would spend hours playing this fucking game. Another one of the favorites, Gyrus. I actually made it to the sun and beat the game once. Getting to the sun is freaking hard. Beating the sun stage was even the hardest part. Another one of my favorite games when we used to have Putt-Putt. Putt-Putt blew up one day while I was walking home from school, literally. So if you walked by, you saw boom, Putt-Putt went up in flames. All kinds of tokens just flew all over the place too, so I had a lot of tokens from it, but it wasn't the same after the explosion. But here's one of the favorite games that I played when I used to go to Putt-Putt. John Elway's Quarterback. Never thought they actually made a copy for console, but they made it for Nintendo, which is pretty cool. Here's another favorite. Isn't there a lot of favorites? I mean, on Nintendo, a lot of stuff on Nintendo is still worth playing. Kirby's Adventure. Gotta love Kirby. Possibly one of the first games I ever beat. Metroid. I used to have the yellow label, but I don't know whatever happened to it. Probably got sold for beer, as I've stated before. Here's another fun one. I spent hours playing this game at my cousin's house. Wouldn't play anything else. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Still one of the best games on Nintendo. Of course, you can't have ever owned a Nintendo if you didn't have Super Mario Bros. And Duck Hunt. I used to have Super Mario 2. I don't know whatever happened to it. But there's Super Mario 3. Possibly the first game I possibly ever beat, and of course the first game I've ever beaten in an arcade. The original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles DR2, the arcade game. Fun game, not too long, but it can be a pain in the ass. The Simpsons, Bart vs. the World. And of course I had a little wrestling. There's WCW Wrestling. Wrestling games on the Nintendo weren't easy, but this was a very fun game. Tecmo World Wrestling. Here's WWF WrestleMania. World Wrestling is probably the best game as far as I'm concerned with wrestling wise on Nintendo. Here's some pretty rare copies that you really don't see much. If you do, they're pretty expensive. You can find the regular label. The regular, how do you call it? The regular gray copies, but apparently you can't really find these ones too much anymore. But there's a gold copy, Legend of Zelda. I tried looking for these, and I won't take anything else except for the gold copies. I won't take the gray copy for the Legend of Zelda. I expected nothing less, so here you go, the second one. The Adventure of Link. gold. And the final game that I have for Nintendo is Zoda's Revenge. What? Nothing. Zoda's Revenge. And we have Super Nintendo games. Beavis and Butthead. This is pretty fun. Multiplayer is not a good idea because you run the same life bar if you have somebody else playing Beavis while you're playing Butthead, or Butthead while you're playing Beavis. So I recommend playing single player. Let's just have somebody who's not dumb. But then again, on that game, it's pretty much you're gonna be dumb anyways. Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, another one of my favorite games. Just that Killer Instinct 1, and I don't know what happened to that either. Kirby's Avalanche. It's pretty much a game like Tetris style in a sense. Super Mario World. Of course, you can't have a Super Nintendo without Super Mario World. Here's one of my all-time favorites, Super Metroid. Of course, you could beat that game in like 3 hours, so Super Metroid would be a pretty crappy game in this day and age, since gameplay means a lot, and the length of a game is what means to sell the game. It's got to be lengthy. You don't want to beat a game in a day. Super Star Wars: A New Hope. No, I used to have Star Wars for the Nintendo too. I don't know what happened to it. Super Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back. Another Super Star Wars: The Return of the Jedi. And last but not least, Super Street Fighter. Yeah, a lot of supers in this video. But there you have it. That's going to be Nintendo and Super Nintendo collection video. Anyways, I gotta get the hell out of here soon. So it's time to cut this video after this. I don't know what else to say, but catch you guys later.